Good evening, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today, to being here with us for our session on accounting. We are super excited to discuss this afternoon, this evening, I should say, the state of the short-term rental industry. We'll touch it a bit, but mainly, as I mentioned, we'll focus around our accounting solution. First of all, just kind of to present myself. My name is Yoav Turel, also known by the name Yoey, because even my mom have issues with saying the name Yoav, so Yoey. And I'm the managing director of Guesty here in Asia Pacific. With me today, I'm very happy to have Nadav Ravid is our director of product management and also the head of the accounting product. We refer to him as the magician, and you will very soon will see and hear why. And with him, we have also our Frosina Moore. She's one of our customer success managers here in Sydney. Just kind of how everything going. So for the next, I have 4 more minutes to go through a few opening words. Then we'll move to Nadav, and Nadav will take us through the accounting solution, and we'll run a demo and explanation of how it works. And then we'll have a panel discussion. So Tina and Nadav will answer question, will ask also themselves question. So we would like to dedicate enough time to that. Now, as I mentioned, we are here in Sydney, the team here, and we are about to end our 6th week of lockdown. And obviously kind of in other parts of Australia, they are also getting out or getting in lockdowns. We can't not acknowledge it before we start to dive into the solution. And these are the discussions that we have now with our partners in the market. We really try to look at this time into time that allows to evaluate, to analyze the operation, maybe seeing it's very tough, but maybe seeing the silver lining or positivity, if you call it like that, that it is a good time that when we're forced to stop, so to look inside and to see what does it mean about the way that we operate? What does it mean about there are soon here in New South Wales, new regulations are coming in. Are we ready for that? What do we need to do about it? In terms of the new audiences and the new personas that you probably kind of got over the last 6 months, 8 months. We had such a good run from the holidays up until now, and short-term rentals definitely been discovered by new audiences. So what does it mean about their expectations? How can we cater for them better? How can we look into our direct bookings? How can we improve our marketing? We know that these are the type of thinking that happening now, because these are the discussions that we have with our partners, and we see this session fitting into that, because what we do, and most of you, if not all of you, know Guesty, so we don't need to present Guesty in that sense, but that's what we try to help. We try to help in the simplification of the operational side. How can it be improved, whether it's within the communication or with the calendar or with the all new reports in the analytics that really allow you to analyze and understand better your ROI, your efficiency, and that's our main goal. There is, speaking about the analytics and speaking about the data, we do want to think that there is a good light at the end of the tunnel, and that's the holiday seasons. I think that with any vaccination rate goal and timeline, hopefully that will leave us enough time before the holidays and allow that kind of recovery toward that time. We still see bookings, an increase in bookings for that period of time of the holidays. We still see a higher cost per night. The nightly average is higher, and we're looking back to 2019, and we see an increase on the number. We see it in Australia, we see it globally, and we want to be sure that we're ready for that period of time. And as I mentioned, one of the things that when we look into your operation, one of the things that we know that are challenging, that can be a pain point, definitely time consuming, is the accounting side. This is something that we've been working on, and Nadav will say more about it, but quite a time. We invested a lot in that, and we're very happy to share it with you today. So with this in mind, I want to give the stage to Nadav. Nadav, please take it over. And
thank you.
I'll be back shortly.
Thank you, Yoav, for the intro. Very happy and excited to be here. We've been working on accounting for quite a while. So this is the fun time when we get to meet our customers and show what we've been doing so far and what are our plans for the future. So basically, while we're looking at this slide right now, I'm going to say a few words about accounting before we deep dive into the product itself. Managing the financials of a property management company is tough. It's tough because there are very few industries who are suffering from similar complexities. It requires dedicated personnel, attention to details and time. And, you know, if you had to ask me, what does it mean? Basically, it costs a lot of money to manage your money. And when we looked into this area and how we can contribute to it as a property management software, the first thing we figured out is that, you know, we're not gonna revamp the world of accounting. Accounting has been here for a while, decades upon decades. And Guesty is not an accounting firm, and it's not a specific accounting software. And we don't presume that we have any capabilities to, you know, create a whole new accounting that can help the industry. Instead, what we did identify, and we put it as the goal, is that we can simplify what happens today, and we can make it less time consuming. We can automate it more, and we basically can introduce new tools which Guesty provides in the worlds of automation and reporting in order to bring your, you know, the same accounting flows that you had for decades into the modern area, if you'd like. So when we're looking at accounting, when we're thinking, why is it so complex for property management software, which is different from other industries? First of all, obviously, the market is not standardized. Every company has their own specific ways of doing accounting, their own very specific flows, different business models, right? I mean, each one of you probably has a little bit of a difference between how they're charging their owners, or if they even have owners, and what are the commission models. Everyone's trying to basically optimize. So the lack of the standardization is a challenge. And when you think about it, when you get a reservation into your apartments, which is, you know, reservation for one night, $100, $50, Australian dollars, of course. And you get that, and, you know, it's a simple transaction. If you go to Amazon or you go to eBay and you buy $50 a product, then the seller gets the $50. There may be some taxes involved, and the buyer pays $50. In our industry, it's different. $50 for an apartment can break into 5, 10, 15 different businesses. The OTA is going to take a chunk, and your vendors are going to take a chunk, and your owner will want a chunk, and you're going to get a chunk, and the taxes are going to take a chunk, and you have cleaners, and you have payment processors, and you have maintenance guys, and you have suppliers for whatever else you're selling, and it's difficult. There's a lot of money that moves hands. And it becomes even more difficult when you consider the fact that you're holding money that doesn't belong to you, which is where trust accounting comes into play, right? You're under regulations. You're holding money that doesn't belong to you, and you can't just do whatever you want with it. So considering all of these things and basically the challenges that you're facing, we went into the adventure of creating an accounting product that is going to simplify and basically save you money by using it. So before we're not going to dive into the product, which is going to be 1 minute from now, the message I want to say is that we're not reinventing accounting. Okay, we are simplifying it. We're making it easier. We're making it faster. We're making it more automated, so you don't have to pay so much to manage your money. That being said, this is Guesty. Some of you may know it. Some of you are getting familiar with it. And basically, the first thing that I want to show you here is the new product that's called Business Model. As I mentioned before, that really what happens is that different property managers work with different business models. Everyone has their own rules. And one of the main challenges that the property management software like Guesty faces is understanding, where does the money go to? Guest pays $50. Who gets it? You have to pay $20 for a broken window. Well, I wish it was only $20, but you have to pay it. Who's getting the money? Who's paying the money? So in order to simplify this operation, we've created a new product that's called a business model. And the business model is basically the brain of our operation. And the idea of it is that it exists in order to tell Guesty where the money should go. When we look at when we look at business models, we're basically going to allow you to create how many business models you want to create. But we're going to ask you just very simple questions. Who's going to get the income, and who's going to pay the expense? Once we ask these two questions, and we basically map for each specific fee that's going to go through your system, who's going to get it, how much you're going to get, and when, it becomes a lot easier for us to create accounting. So how do we do it? So for example, when we're asking who gets the income, we're going to ask what happens when the reservation is confirmed, canceled, what happens to cancellation fees and cleaning fees and taxes the guest pays, additional fees that you may be charging, who's going to get it? So if we look, for example, at accommodation fare, in this simple example, you have a 20/80 split with your owner. That's a very simple example. You can also have conditional splits in guest. So for example, if for different channels like Airbnb, you're going to have a different commission structure, we can support that as well. Not only that, one of the other things that you're going to see here is basically our ability that, well, I'll show it in a second, but basically for each fee that you see, you're going to be able to say who's getting what. So another example is cleaning fee. Everyone's charging cleaning fee from the guest. Sometimes you get the money, sometimes the owner's getting it, sometimes the vendor's getting it. There are two questions that you really ask yourself when you collect cleaning fee from the guest. Who's doing the cleaning, how much we should pay him, and how much is the markup that you're taking into yourself. So both of these things can be very easily configured in Guesty. So in this example, we have a vendor that the cleaning fee is getting paid to, and there's a $15 markup that goes to the property manager themselves. Another thing that we see a lot is additional fees. Obviously, this is a great way to monetize on reservations, sell additional services to guests, and this is something that we really recommend every property manager to implement. And for most additional fees, you can take the entire income for yourself. But sometimes you'll be working together with a vendor, and you'll have to pay them something. So in this example here, we can see the parking fee that the property manager takes a 20% markup on, but 80% of it goes to the parking vendor. Another thing that we see that's really helpful to property manager is the idea of recurring owner charges. So there are many different concepts to why you charge an owner, right? So there's the one-time charges that we'll get to it in a second. But when we're talking about recurring charges, there usually are two types we can talk about. There are some kinds of upsells or some types of extra income that the property manager is expecting to make through their agreement with the owner. So for example, if you have an owner service fee or you have a management fee that you're collecting, which is fixed, you'd want to charge it automatically and you don't want to worry about it. So in this example, we have a $100 per month management fee that is charged from the owner to the property manager. Other types of owner charges can be in order to basically cover other expenses. So for a great example is payment processing fees. Okay, Stripe takes 2.7% in most of the world. I believe in Australia is much less. You can still take 2.7. I won't tell anyone. But basically, you can basically charge for each Stripe payment the 2.7 that you need to pay Stripe to the owner. So that money comes out of the owner pockets and not yours. Another recurring fixed expense that it's a great example is homeowners association. This is usually a really fixed price that you don't really want to worry about, right? You're gonna pay the $100, $200, whatever the homeowners association wants, and you don't want to, you don't want to forget it, and you don't want to spend each month doing it and adding those expenses. So that's another way to automate in the business model. So, for example, if we're looking at how it can happen, you can create any recurring owner charge you want. It can be advertising, cleaning, whatever category you want. You can have a description, of course. You can choose the amount. The amount can be fixed. It can be a percentage. It can be per reservation, per month, per quarter. It can be a percentage of the reservation itself. And you can decide who gets it, whether you, or a vendor, or a split between, and whether to apply it to reservations. One other very important thing that you'll see here is that we allow you to charge the VAT. Or sales tax, depending on where you are, from the owner. So obviously, that's another thing that it's another manual thing that you do, which we can automate very simply, and this will basically take care of all your VAT charges. The other question that we mentioned is basically who's paying the expense. Same idea as the who gets the income. All you have to do is tell us where does the money go, and we'll take it from there. So once we understand the behavior of a business, it's much easier for us to basically create the accounting. And the idea of a business model, basically, the idea of the business model is that it intends to represent a contract, whether that's a contract between you and your owner, or a contract between you and basically someone you leases an apartment from, or basically maybe apartments you own yourself. But once it represents a contract, that means it can be reused from multiple listings. Okay, so basically, if we're looking at the business models themselves, you can see that you can create whatever business model you want. You can assign multiple listings to it. So basically, once you set up one contract, you can decide to reuse it. So, for example, if you have 4 types of contracts you offer your owners, it's very easy to just reuse them in the system for each property you onboard. And once we actually have the business model, most of your 80% of the work is done. So if we look at a reservation in Guesty, and this is, I like to warn ahead of time, this is a demo account, so it's not exactly all accurate everywhere. But if we look at an example here, it's a 3 nights reservation for $24-ish $100. And you can see that there's a discount for a broken faucet. The accommodation fare is here. It's $150 cleaning fee, an additional bed, parking, air rechecking, all those additional fees we configured in the business models. And of course, there are taxes because there are always taxes. So basically, once this reservation comes into Guesty, the reservation folio of the accounting is created automatically. So as you can see, this reservation was processed by a business model, the same one that we saw before. It's not active, but ignore this part. And the system created automatically all the journal entries. So basically, you don't have to do it. All the accommodation fare journal entries, all the cleaning fee, the tourism, the splits themselves, everything is going to be here. So if you remember, when we looked at the business model for this listing, we saw the cleaning fee had a $15 markup, and the rest goes to the vendor. So if we look at the reservation and how the system created it, you'll see that the cleaning fee, there's a one journal entry in Guesty deposit for 135 and one for 15. This is the markup. And if we look at the ledgers for the property manager here, we'll say the property manager gets $15 for the cleaning fee markup, and Alex Cleaning, which is our cleaning vendor, will get the rest of the money for their services. This is a good time to touch on some accounting concepts and our chart of accounts. You've probably noticed that Guesty is trust accounting compatible. The reason Guesty is trust accounting compatible because we do trust accounting. We've worked with consultants and experts from the property management short-term rental field in order to guarantee our system is trust accounting compatible. And this is exactly the chart of accounts you're going to see. So we have the advanced deposits, which is basically the guest ledger, which how much money the ledger, the amount that's owed to the guest versus the services the guest has been provided with. We have the accounts payable ledger, which is basically all of our vendors, including the property management company, because the property management company under trust accounting is a vendor. So we'll talk about that in a second. We also have the owner's ledger, how much money does the owner has, and we have the cash ledger, the amount that actually goes in. The concept of trust accounting is that once the money is getting paid into the account, you're not allowed to touch it. And you're just allowed to move it within the same trust account until you pay out who owns that money. And the concept of our trust accounting compatible system is that the money moves according to reservation lifecycle. So you've probably noticed on the business models that for each transaction, we're basically asking when to recognize the fee. And we also tell you exactly what happens in accounting. So once the fees are being recognized, we know to move it from one ledger to another according to the rules that we set up here. And that way, you don't need to touch the money that doesn't belong to you. So you're only going to move to the property manager operational account the money under the PMC ledger, and the owners only get the money from the owner ledger, and the guest is not going to get any money because he paid everything, but the vendors are going to get their money. So that's a little bit about the accounting itself. Obviously, one of the things you'll see here is that we keep track of balances always, so you can see everything balances out. You can see how much each entity in the system got for it. And I think one of the key values that you're going to find here is that this is automated. Manual work leads to errors, errors leads to loss of funds, and we are automating 85% of the flow. Why am I saying 85? Because I'm not, we can't know everything that you're doing. And as most accounting will tell you, this is somewhat of a creative profession sometimes. So we believe in two things, full transparency and full control. So while we do automate the entire process, you have full transparency into every journal entry, what's its status, what its dates, what it is right now, and you have full control over it. So you're always able to reverse the transaction. You're always able to add transactions, okay? So you're able to add owner charges. So let's say there was a broken faucet in this reservation and you need to fix it and you want to charge the owner for it, no problem, just add a one-time owner charge. You can transfer between different folios from guest to owner, from owner to guest, whatever you want. You can obviously add expenses, credit or debit the owner accordingly. And of course, post payments for out of the trust account or into it. The other manual action you'll find here is that we allow you to add journal entries. So this is obviously God mode for accountants and their ability to do anything they want in the ledgers, gives them full control, but under protection. So what does that mean? We always protect you from making mistakes. We're not going to allow you to be unbalanced or go out of balance. We're always going to validate your work in order to prevent those manual mistakes. So 85% automated, 50% of the edge cases and things we can expect full control that you have in the system. Moving forward, you're probably asking, this is great. There's so many automated flows and everything goes everywhere I want it to, but I need to get the data back. I need to get the reports back from from the system in order for it to be usable. So that's why we really have the posting journal. Now, the posting journal is kind of a different concept in the world of accounting. Well, it's not different because it's existed since the beginning of time, I think. But the idea of the posting journal is that we basically allow you full access to all of the journal entries created by the system everywhere. It's a fully customized, filtered view into your ledgers. So basically, under this product, you are able to create whatever report you can have in mind for accounting. Very similar to most of the smart views capabilities in Guesty, you're able to customize the columns that you want to see in your report, whether the ledger, which type of ledger, whether the guest name, the vendor name, the listing of the journal entry, the owner, what's transaction type, reservation confirmation code, payment confirmation code for the payment, etc. The reason this is such a powerful tool, except for the customization, it really simplifies investigating what's happening. So if you look at a journal entry and you're trying to understand where does it come from, the reservation confirmation code is there. The reservation itself is one click away to see exactly what happened in the reservation. The listing is one click away to see exactly what happened and which listing it is, what happens. All the data is here for you. And also, of course, you are able to filter everything. So any data point that exists here, you're able to filter and find exactly what you need. So how does it actually look? So if we look at some of the reports I saved myself, so you can see you can create how many reports you want and always save them. You can, for example, create your own earning report. How much money is the PMC making? So we're just looking at the accounts payable, vendor is PMC, and we're looking at all the money the PMC is making. Obviously, if you want to see it for a specific date frame, you can always add a filter and say, I want to see how much I'm making in August so far. I think we're on the 5th. So great. This is exactly that. I can download it to the CSV, so I can play around with my Excel spreadsheets. I can basically save it and do whatever I need. Another good option is looking at a report specific for one listing, just so you can see everything is there. Filtering by listing, again, we can add dates, we can add ledgers, we can focus on everything that we want. We can always jump to the relevant guest, to the relevant listing, to the relevant reservation. Other really good reports you can create here, and they're pre-configured for you. For example, a reconciliation report. You want to make sure that the money that you've been collecting through Stripe is actually there. So you're able to create a report directly for the cash ledger. You're basically gonna decide the transaction type. This is a test account, so I don't actually have credit card transactions here. I only have cash. But for credit card transaction, you also have the payment confirmation code for Stripe. So it's a simple matter of either copy pasting into Stripe to see exactly if the payment is done, or much more simple, you can export this report from Guesty as CSV, export the payment report from Stripe, and compare to reconcile it. Another good photo you have is the disbursement report, right? We talked about money going into the account from the guest. This is about money going out of the accounts. For example, payments to owners. You'll see exactly when it happened, which owner, what was the amount, and you'll be able to reconcile this with your bank account. If you're asking how do you add those, well, that's easy. You click the post payment button, you add all the relevant information, and you're done. This is something that we're also going to really see improvement for in the next week. So this is great. We have accounting, we have all the data. You're probably asking yourself, okay, great, but you know what the real pain point for property managers is? It's understatements. It's always understatements. The ability to give the owner a good, easy to understand statement that prevents question, prevents consuming your time, and increasing the trust that you have with the owner is really important. So Guesty takes care of that as well. And basically what happens in Guesty is that you'll see two things. First of all, owner statements are generated automatically in Guesty. What does that mean? The end of the period is here, an owner statement will be generated. You'll be able to go into your owner statement dashboard, which I misclicked here. You'll be able to go to your owner statement dashboard. Obviously, it's another dashboard you can completely customize, whether by filters or by selecting the columns you want to see. You'll be able to see for each owner the relevant statement for the relevant period, their statuses, and you're able to see how much you owe them. So for example, if we look at one of the statements already prepared, this is Ben Simmons. So we'll look how this statement looks like. So this is an example of an order statement for Guesty. You can see that there's the company information, and basically all the statements in Guesty are comprised of three different parts. The statement summary page, which gives you the initial balance, everything that happened during the month, the ending balance, whether there's a minimum balance that has to stay into account, and a payment due to the owner. Then we'll have a breakdown per listing. So you can see for each listing exactly how much money, which transaction happened. So for example, these are rental payments for reservations, and this is expenses for water, septic, and electricity. And if you remember the management fee we saw in the business model, the fixed, the recurring one, here it is for each listing. And then in the last page, there will be transactions which are not specific listing related. So for example, the payment to the owner for last year's, last month's balance, and a consulting service, a one-time transaction that happened. Very easy to understand, very easy to manage, created automatically by Guesty into your dashboard. So all you have to do really is once a month review it. For example, so if I want to see all the owner statements for December, I'm choosing December just because I know the data is okay there. So I'm looking let's look at all the owner statements that the period end date is on December 31st, if I'm not mistaken. And we see we have two statements. We can see that their statuses. Once you review them and you see them they're okay, you're able to either select one of them. For each statement, you can change the status, you can download, you can send it and regenerate it if you do changes. So for example, if you find something wrong in the statement, you go back, you change something, you fix something, all you have to do is click regenerate, the statement will be recreated. You can choose one, you can choose all of the statements on the dashboard, and you can change the status in bulk. So let's say we approve all of these, and then basically we can share them directly from our product with the owner in one click. We can either send it to the owner's portal so the owner can see that there, or we can send it by email, or you can just mark and send offline if we print it and send it by regular mail or a pigeon carrier, depending on what you use these days. Other than that, so we're really, really simple, really, really easy to use. Allows you to really save a lot of time during the day-to-day, month-to-month work. And this is the highlights of the product we have right now. I'll finish with saying that as if you know Guesty, you know that we never stop working on our products. It's a continuous progress. And this is the same. There's a dedicated development team in Guesty that is continuing to work on adding more and more capabilities and features to the accounting software. In the last couple of months and over the next few months, we're focusing mostly on payouts and reconciliation processes and reports. We have some very, very neat and cool products planned by the end of the year, and even more exciting and cool stuff planned for next year.
Thank you, Nadav. I know if I was looking at this for the first time, I would have a lot of questions, and there definitely was some coming through whilst Nadav was talking. And so thank you so much for submitting them. What I'll do is I'll dive straight into them. And we can kind of get started. Nadav, are you ready?
Yes, hopefully. I feel like I'm back at university and it's exam time. Okay.
Well, Anonymous asks, will there be a way to upload a CSV file with transactions to record?
So I didn't really touch about the onboarding processes, but the thing is that you don't really need to right now. Our system is extremely effective at going backwards in time and creating the accounting journal entries. So when you onboard to Guesty or you already have data within Guesty, if you have the reservation data there, we can apply everything backwards. So you don't have to manually create those journal entries on a spreadsheet and upload into Guesty. If you really, really, really need them to do this, we can talk about it. But hopefully we can avoid it because there's no really need to.
Got it. Thank you. And Stephen is wondering if every property is able to set up differently as they all have slightly different structures.
Yeah, it's up to you. You can create gazillion business models. Each one can be different and specific to a specific property. I'm hoping for you that eventually you'll have something more easier to manage.
Exactly. The more the merrier. That's what we want to say.
Yeah.
And how customizable are our owner statements, Nadav?
So we have about 3 or 4 different templates we can use, which is mostly around what type of financial information you want to share with the owner. From our experience, different property managers are sometimes more transparent, sometimes less transparent. So we try to support as much as possible. So during the onboarding process, basically the onboarder is going to fit the best template to your needs.
Awesome. And Sydney, love the name. Based on a truly great city. Which accounting software solutions does Guesty think to Nadav?
So I think I didn't touch that during the demo, but it's important to understand that Guesty is a hybrid solution. That means we are not competing and we are not trying to replace QuickBooks or Xero or Sage, whatever you're using. Well, we don't have direct integrations right now. It's definitely something that's in our backlog for the future. So right now, basically the easiest way to do it, and the way that we've planned our product, is to create those customized report within the posting journal, which you can create already in the format that Xero or Sage or QuickBooks know how to get, and then import them into your operational accounting software. So Guesty is a translator. It translates between your operational information to the accounting information you want to have on your operational accounting software.
Awesome. Thank you. And I absolutely love reading questions that say anonymous. It makes me feel very V for Vendetta when doing it. So is the accounting system going to be a part of Guesty or an add-on that is purchased?
So accounting is an add-on that is purchased. That's a very simple answer. Maybe Yoav, you want to say a few more words?
Sorry, no, I think that, yeah, I think that kind of you mentioned that, yeah, it is an add-on. It's also our first solution that can also be standalone. Okay, so that's also another option with our accounting solution.
Amazing. Anonymous handles maintenance and repair for their owners. Would you be able to charge them for it within Guesty?
So absolutely. Basically, what we've shown during the demo of the owner charges, that's what it's used for. You can add a one-time owner charge to charge the owner for maintenance, repairs, gardening, pool cleaning, whatever you want. We still don't provide actual charging credit card from an owner or bank transfer. This is again something that we're planning to tackle next year. We have some exciting things coming up with our payment flows.
Amazing. And Abby wants to know if it's possible to upload invoices and pictures of things we purchase on behalf of the owners.
This is great because no, but it's on our roadmap for Q4. So it should be available by the end of the year, also with the ability to display it on the owner statements themselves or linked from the owner statements to these different invoices and pictures.
Exactly, an example of Guesty continue to work on its products.
Yeah, and a very good, I'll just jump in, and a very good question because it definitely comes quite a lot.
Exactly right. And will there be a simple paid option so you can track what payments have been made or are outstanding in the system?
So that's an interesting question. There is already one. So basically, journal entries are only created when the transaction happens. So if the journal entry exists, that means it's been paid.
Amazing. And what we have here is two more I can see are on the Slido. Can recurring expenses be customized by booking channel? From Jacob.
Yes, absolutely.
Beautiful. And is it possible to show the goods and services tax or VAT in the statements themselves?
I'm assuming this refers to the GST VAT that the owner pays. And yes, I didn't show it on the demo because it's an older statement, but yes, there's another column that shows the GST and VAT for each transaction.
Okay. Awesome. John from our audience is wondering if we can break it down on a listing by listing basis.
Absolutely. Not exactly sure if you're talking about the business model or the report itself, but the idea of our reports is that it's extremely customizable and extremely detailed. So you're able to create a report for specific listings. You can any report you want for a specific listing. You can also create business models for specific listings. So there's no problem diving into that specific hierarchy.
Awesome. One of our major time-consuming issues is to ensure that the money that should have come into the bank did so, and also to make sure that the money paid out is correct. How will the new system help with this? So that's question one. I'll let you answer it first.
So reconciliation is a big part of what you guys do. What every company does. I can tell you that in Guesty, the finance team are having the similar challenges, and the concept of in Guesty, the powerful thing that you'll see is that you'll have the disbursement and reconciliation report to use, and they're easy, fast connection to the reservations themselves. So it's very easy to jump and see the status of the payment versus the status of the journal entry itself. That's what happens in the system right now. During the first half of next year, we're planning to add the reconciliation system. So you'll be able to basically I wouldn't say connect, but you'll be able to align your cash ledger with your actual bank statements.
Sounds awesome. And I do think you partially touched on this. Vanessa does use Xero for her business. How will this integrate with Xero?
So as I said, a direct integration is definitely on the line for the future. For now, the system is built in a way that you can basically customize export of journal entries from Guesty in the format that Xero expects, and then import that CSV into Xero.
Yes, and the final one from Vanessa was, what is the cost?
I just build products. I don't. I think I'll let Yoav handle that one.
This is something that is usually decided by the size of the account. So we have sort of a scale that we would love to to share and to discuss with you. There are costs in terms of the setup and also kind of ongoing, but as I said, it's really it can be depend on the size of the account. So we would love to speak with you. Before we finish, we want to we spoke about the pricing. So a special offer of 40% off the setup fee by August 31st. So please speak with us if that's something that is of interest to you. This is a special offer for this webinar. And a bit of a promo to the next event. This is, by the way, it's event that is going to happen throughout our night. But please register to get the recording. Should be very interesting about travel and industry trends to guide your business. We have a good lineup of panelists. So please kind of register, and we will do the follow-up and send you the recording. And thank you very much for being with us. We hope that you found it interesting, insightful. We would love to hear your feedback. As Nadav mentioned, we discussed it, we are discussing, we will discuss it with experts from the local markets, and that's help us to fine-tune our offering and to make sure that it's relevant to each one of the markets. So we would love to get your feedback. And stay safe and cheerful. Thank you. Thank you very much. Nadav, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
And thank your team that is also here for all the work that you've done. Frosty, thank you very much. And
Thank you.
Hope to speak with you guys very soon.